Hi, everybody, and welcome to 1 in 6 Support's Montclair Friday group. Welcome. We are very happy today to have Leslie Wallace and some parents who participate in the Montclair Transition Program. Leslie runs the transition program. Thank you for coming, Leslie.
You're welcome.
And she's going to tell you a little bit about herself and what she does. And then she's going to head out at 10:30. And then we're going to have Eric and Deb Knutson, whose son participated in the program, talk a little bit about their experience. So welcome, Leslie. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. All right. My name is Leslie Wallace. I am a special education teacher. I've been in the fields for quite some time now. I started teaching at Montclair High School in 2004, and in 2008, joined forces with another coordinator and started the community-based transition program that we have here in Montclair. It is for students 18 to 21 that have finished their high school requirements. Um, and then through their transition team, IEP team, they decide if they want to stay on for additional years for transition services. So I would say the big takeaway with Montclair's transition services is that they are very individualized and very team oriented. So, um, like I said, our students are 18 to 21. We're helping them with their adult goals, whatever they are. And what kind of makes us unique is that we work with the family, the team, and the student to decide what their program is going to look like. So it is very individualized to the actual student. Um, so some of the main components, we have career and work skill. Pretty much all of our students, whether their goal is to go on to college, we want them to participate in some kind of work or internship program so that they can be working on those skills. And again, that's very individualized. Some of our students come to us and they have not had any kind of job experience. So we do have some partners. One of the documents that Alma, I guess you'll make available, and we have here is a list of our community partners. Some of those we know no matter what, they'll always provide some kind of internship for our students. But we might have a student that already has some work experience and really wants to enter a certain field or area. So we go out and we job develop and we really try to cater their work experiences towards their interest and skill level at that time. So that's a big component of our program. We also transportation and travel skills. That's definitely another big area that we're working on with all of our students is basically how to get around your community as independently as possible. I will say from working in this field for many years, if young adults go on and they tap into any kind of adult services after public education, a lot of their money does tend to go towards transportation. So as much as we can teach them while they're in our transition program to get around as independently as possible, then that leaves more money for them for other types of services. So learning New Jersey Transit, learning how to walk around the town safely. We've even, Montclair Township offers a program called Easy Ride for seniors and people with disabilities, and they can get up to 20 free Uber and Lyft rides a month. So we help connect them with that service and actually teach them how to use the Uber and Lyft safely, checking the license plate and that whole process. Using the train system here in Montclair. I will say we're very lucky here in Montclair that we have a lot of public transportation options. Not a lot of towns do. So that's a big one that we're working on pretty much with all of our students. And then some of the other things, well, another area is like embedded skills, like time management, organization. Every week we have a transition class on Monday, and we use that time to get set up for the week. And they have to kind of figure out their schedule. Inevitably, There's always some kind of half day or days off, so they're filling out their schedule for the week, figuring out how many bus tickets that they need, using that time to maybe email employers if like they're not going to be in for their internship because of do I need to do something?
No, but I want to read this.
Okay.
Once you take a pause.
Okay. Contacting their employers if they can't come in because we have a half day. So they're really learning those like time management in real life situations.
Somebody's asking here, before I sit here listening to something that is irrelevant to me, it sounds like this is a program specific to Montclair students. Is that correct? I'm in Glenridge. So can you
Yes.
speak a little to about the legality of the of transition programs?
Yeah, so I am here today to talk about the community-based program that is offered at Montclair Public Schools, but um, there should be some kind of transition program in Glenridge as well. Like it is under federal IDEA, transition services. This discussion should be starting at age 14 when they come into the high school, about maybe not solidifying exact goals, but like starting the discussion of what is the goal after high school. And then definitely by sophomore and junior year, really solidifying some real concrete transition goals. So, yes,
So
what I'm
it's
talking about today is specific to Montclair Public Schools, but there should be, every school district should have some kind of transition program.
and any information you gather here, you could bring back to your transition program in Glenridge and talk to them about, well, Montclair does this, can we do this too? So I think it's worthwhile to listen in on what Leslie has to say about the program because it is a federally funded program that everyone should have in their school, no matter where you are in the United States. A transition program is your legal right. Um,
Okay.
Sorry,
No, that's okay.
thank you. I'll stick around and I will look into Glenwood. Great.
Okay.
And uh, um, you'll probably get to this. I just want to make sure about the fact that we have a transition program, but wherever you are, you can do your transition program elsewhere as well. And I can speak to that personally when you're done, that it's not just, even though you live in a town, you can conceivably have a transition program, accommodate your child in another state even, depending on the individual situation.
Yes, I will say we have some out-of-district students that do choose to stay on an out-of-district placements and do their transition program in that town. So you could speak to the out-of-state, but yeah. So, okay. Some of the other components that we work on, but again, it's individualized, so we really work with the team. Some students may not want to do these components, but community and daily living skills, really learning how to access the community. Some of our students come to us with experience. Some do not, like how to access their bank, how to access local restaurants, how to go to the store and go shopping for items that they might need. So we definitely offer those skills and work on them. Recreation and leisure, learning how to plan an event with a friend and like all the executive functioning that goes on with that and helping them follow through, or just learning where, like if they have a hobby or an interest, where can we tap into the community to keep exploring that? A lot of times in high school, they'll join a club where they can be involved and meet new people and explore those hobbies. But once you leave public school, where are you going to continue to find those connections? So helping them explore the Montclair community and local areas where they can keep exploring those things. And then another big area is continuing education. In our program, we do continue, it's not an academic program, but we do continue to still work on functional academics, the reading, the writing, money, math, things like that, that they will run into, or skills that they're going to continue to need. But we also have a lot of our students that are interested in going on to college. So, what that looks like is very different for each student. We have partnered with Montclair State in a couple different ways. So one is they have it's called an IAC program, Increasing Access to College. And that is an opportunity for young adults that are in a transition program to audit. Well, they have two levels. One's at orientation where they're learning about campus, they're partnered with peers, and they're doing different activities on campus. The second level is called the fellowship, and you're able to audit with a small fee. You have to pay like student, I'm not exactly sure, so I'm not going to say, but there is a fee attached to that one, but very small compared to like a college tuition, um, where they get to sit in and audit a class each semester. And then we
But
also
they don't
have,
get credit.
they don't get credit, they're just auditing the class. And then they decide, like we work with our students, how much of the syllabus they want to actually complete, or if they just want to sit in and just see what the experience is like. So we work with each student on what it is they want to do. Some of them want to start off with the auditing with hopes to go on and take classes. So they'll be like, all right, I'm going to do some of the class, some of the things on the syllabus. Um, and then some don't want to have to do the assignments. They just want the experience. So the IAC, Increasing Access to College, that's definitely one way that we partner with Montclair State. Another thing is the early college program, which is open to any high school student that wants to apply to take college level classes. So they do have certain requirements in terms of like GPA and like you have to get references, things like that. But if our students, their GPA fits, then they're able to actually go through the early college program, and that is for credit and paying the cost of credits per hour at Montclair State. So that we've been doing for several years, I think way back when it was called the Red Hawk.
Do that as like in part in the 18 to 21 program.
Yes,
Like,
because
the
technically
kids
our
doing it, like,
as a junior, right.
Got it.
But because they're still a student through the public school, they're
Yeah.
eligible to apply because it's for any high school student. And I will say a lot of colleges have programs like this. So if you're not from Montclair and you're watching this, look into your a university that's near you because they probably have something similar. Another opportunities that we've looked into is like Essex County and Bergen County, that they have like open applications. So again, you can still be a high school student as long as your transcript shows that you have completed high school requirements. And we've supported students to enroll there and take classes. I will say that if we're supporting students that are in a class for credit, we do we help them connect with support services on campus. We do go in as a liaison because they're still under public education. So any kind of accommodations, like class notes that the professor isn't already giving out, or like extended time, if they can't monitor that, then it is still kind of our responsibility. So we go in as kind of a liaison with the student and kind of figure out a plan of how we're going to support them, being that they're still part of the public school system. But we cannot modify any of the content. So if you're auditing, you can choose if you want to do an assignment or maybe modify it a little bit. But if you're actually taking the class for a credit, like we can't go in as public school and change the syllabus and the assignments at all. If the professor decides to do that for the student, then that's okay, but not like we can't do that. So I will say every year we have a handful of students that really are interested in trying out college classes and seeing if it's a good fit because their goal is to go on to college. So that is definitely something every year we have students that we're helping to support that experience. I think the main takeaway, like definitely with the Montclair transition program, again, like I said, it's very individualized and we're very passionate about connecting our young adults to the Montclair community, helping them build natural support. So once they leave us, they're not going to need as much quote unquote paid support to go out and function in their community. They're going to know the people at their local store, and they're going to know how to help them out naturally. They're not going to have a support person go and help them. So we're very passionate about like working with the family. Like, what stores do you shop at? Where do you want your loved one to be able to go independently, so that while they're in our program, we can really teach them those skills to be as independent as possible. Another big thing that we are passionate about is helping families connect to adult services, helping them connect with DVRS, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services, not just handing you an application and saying, here, you need to do this, but actually sitting down with you, helping to coordinate when you're doing your intake meetings, and, doing it with you if that's something that you want. Also helping to connect with DDD, Division of Developmental Disabilities, and SSI, Supplemental Security Income. So we're very involved with helping the families make sure they gather all the documents that they need, helping them submit the application, to helping them to connect with their support coordinators, which is kind of like the case manager of adult service world, and really helping them get to know the young adults, so that services can be as seamless as possible and they can get to know them as quickly as possible. So, oh my gosh, it's now 10:24. I feel like I hope I didn't talk too fast.
I just want to let
It's a lot of
people,
information, but I'm almost going to scan this. So a lot of what I said is in writing already.
this is,
So-
sorry, this is being recorded, so can everybody take their video off and mute themselves? Because we're just doing the recording on the speaker. Otherwise, it's not private or confidential for you, so we're just asking to, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
The things that I always get a little confused about is like the transition into the transition program, like the sort of like middle ground of like juniors, like sophomore, junior, senior year, like what we should be, how it works with the program,
Okay.
and what we should be doing.
So definitely at age 14, you should be starting the discussion. There's a whole area in the IEP dedicated to transition, and kind of our components that we talk about: daily living skills, work skill, community involvement. Those are the topics of the transition plan. So you should at least be having a conversation of like, what are the goals? What have you started thinking about? Is their involvement? Have they had a part-time job? Things like that. And that should be documented in the IEP. And then as you start to reach like your sophomore, junior year, then that area of the IEP should be more concrete with like actually action goals. So if someone wants to go on to college, they need to take their SAT. They need to make sure they're meeting with their counselor and taking college prep type classes. They should be investigating colleges and learning about their disability support services. So more like not just kind of a narrative, but more action-oriented goals of what should be happening at that time. Montclair Public Schools does offer a work study, like a part-time basis. So if work is something that you're interested in, your excuse me, loved one will need support with that, then let your case manager know that you would like to enter work study. Now, just note that will take away from other credits. So, so then you have to make a decision. Like if it's college bound, do you have that room that you can put in a work study and not take an academic class? So, you have to work with your case manager and your counselors. That's a good question. Anybody else have a quick question? I do have to leave in like 3 minutes. So if there's any other specific questions?
The other thing that I would just say is, and we'll talk to this a little bit, but
Yeah.
you are also developing a community within a community. So the kids that are in the transition program also become part of that community. And that's been like an added benefit, is as they grow
Yeah.
up.
A social aspect to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is, so our student, like we usually roughly have around 15 students and we have 8 job coaches. So we're very highly staffed. We have a lot of support for our loved ones out in the community because we're teaching them, and we don't want to fade our goal is always fade to independence, but if they're not ready yet, then we have to be able to provide that support to continue the instruction. But yeah, I will say because it is a, typically a smaller group and we do kind of become family, community, and then our graduates love to come back and, see us, touch base. They love meeting the new students.
Yeah.
So then our graduates who are in the community working on the bus, they're like looking out for the ones who are now learning. It is actually, that's kind of one of my favorite things about this job is that we're a family that never goes away. So it's so fun to see like students that I, back in 2008 that I taught them how to ride the bus and then I'm on the bus and I'm like, hey, and they're going to work and yeah, so that's kind of a nice positive thing for me to see like what we taught them, they're continuing to do. So
What would you say the weakest aspects of the program are or areas that need improvement?
oh, that's a good question. I've never been asked that before.
To change and be eliminated.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever in fear of it being eliminated.
Did you speak? to
I
the
would
leadership?
say that I wish that, I mean, this would be an ideal thing. I'm not speaking in terms of like what Montclair Public School would want. I would love if like it could be more than like 15 people in the program, but we have to keep our resources and staffing where we're able to run the program at the level and the quality that we want. But
Did you speak to the
Yeah.
criteria yet?
so criteria, if anybody is in Montclair Public School and would, like to learn more, or really consider it for their loved one, then they need to talk to their case manager. And then the case manager will move and proceed from there. Okay. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh, we are going to start offering like, I guess we consider it like an open house, where like an informational session. We're going to try to do one in the spring and one in the fall. And I would encourage, don't wait until you're a senior in high school. Start learning about it. Start coming to them as early as, 14 years old. And if anyone's watching that's out of district, that's still part of Montclair Public School, still come as early as possible, so that you'll know what the options are. It is my professional opinion that transition services are best in the home district. So if someone is out of district, to come back and really get those transition services here in Montclair so that they're connected to their community. But everybody, there's always exceptions and, you have to figure out what's best for you and your loved one. So that's all right.
Somebody's phone.
It is my phone vibrating, sorry.
At the high school, Mr. Acosta,
He does the work
He
study.
does the work study
So that's-
and he works with, is he in communication with you or like, does he?
We have met and there definitely is a bridge. So like definitely their senior year IEP meeting,
Yeah.
myself and I run the program with a gentleman named Joe Kralovich. So we will go to the IEP meeting and Mr. Acosta,
Yes.
Phil will be there.
Okay.
And then, give us input on the work study,
Okay, perfect.
experiences and what
Yeah.
have you. All right.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Any other questions online? All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
so you're gonna scan and upload this stuff. There's also just one last thing, kind of like an example of like a student schedule.
Mhm.
We build the schedule with the student at the beginning of the year. But it doesn't run on a period like 1 through 8. So it's more like natural timing. You have a morning activity and an afternoon activity. So we just tried to kind of show like different internships, different things, and more of a timeline that we follow versus a period schedule.
And it does follow the school schedule, so.
Yes, we are part of the public school. So any half day holidays, we follow the school schedule.
Summer too.
Summer,
Can
they qualify through ESY.
Can I ask, is this summer, when does it actually start? Does it start in September?
Follows the school schedule. So September to June. And then if your loved one qualifies for extended school year, they do have a July program.
July, okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank
Right.
you.
Thank you so much.
All right. If
Leslie.
anybody has any questions, it can feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, do you want to put your email in the chat?
I don't know how to do
Oh,
that, but
do you
if you pull up oh, I see it down there. I can
Here.
type it. Oh, no,
And
go-
we're
is it
not,
right here?
oops, hold on, whoops, we're not done yet, people, because we're gonna have the parent experience next of having their child in it. And mine too, I guess, because,
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of voices here.
yeah, a lot of options, and ways this, can look very different depending on your kid.
I think one of the things that Leslie said that is so, so important is it's individual. Like
Individualized, yeah.
truly individual, which is
Okay.
Okay, so it's
Got
in
it.
the chat. Thank you so much, Leslie. Thanks for coming. And now in the hot seat, we have Deb and Eric Knutson. Here, let me move this over.
Here,
Scoot over.
yeah, I'm gonna come over.
Go over.
I'm in the hot seat.
Okay, so let's get both of you guys there. Thank you so much, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
Um, okay, so we're
Yeah,
gonna continue
yeah.
recording, right? We're
Yeah.
fine recording.
Hi, everybody.
Yes.
Hi. It's Deb and Eric Knutson. And we are going to talk about our experience with the transition program. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of the early part of our experience. And then Eric is going to take over because Eric really oversaw once our child hit high school. Eric was really involved with that. But just very, very quickly for anybody who's listening, we moved to Montclair when our twin boys were in second grade. We have a neurotypical and a child with ASD. We moved to Montclair in second grade, and our son on the spectrum was in an inclusive classroom from second grade until eighth grade. And we were at Buzz Aldrin for middle school. And in eighth grade, against the wishes of the case manager, this is important for parents to know that you have a voice, and against the wishes and the advice of the case manager, because our son was getting straight A's in his inclusive classroom, we were like, we want to challenge him. So we were able to push to get him into a resource room for math and English. One of the things that happened when he was in eighth grade is our other son was in the Junior National Honor Society. Our typical child was into it. Our other son, who was in resource room in eighth grade, was not invited to participate. And we pushed the principal. We said, why is our son not being invited? If he's a straight A student and he's got a couple of resource rooms, why is he not being invited to the National Junior Honor Society? And they changed that, and he was invited to it. So what I want to say is, if your child is in middle school and their grades are good, they should have access to the same programs and achievements as the typical kids. And the other thing was, we pushed to have our son in the resource room. So in eighth grade, again, as I mentioned, he was in resource for math and for English. And I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll let you take over for what happened in high school.
Yes. As my wife said, we felt very strongly that he needed to be in resource rooms because we wanted to make sure that by the time he got to high school, he was going into general ed classes, because we knew that he would be, among other things, he'd be watching his brother very closely, and his brother was clearly going to be going on to a higher education after high school, and we were confident that he would probably want the same for himself, and of course we were correct on that. And just like any parent, you want your child to be challenged. You don't necessarily want your child to be the smartest kid in the class, because then that means that they're potentially not being challenged. The resource rooms, of course, as it turns out, were a tremendous success. Both teachers of the resource rooms were overflowing with praise, and how dedicated and serious a student that he was. And then we were lucky enough that then when he went into high school and he went into general education classes and continued to do well, because he is a very serious student. He is very driven. He's very motivated. And so in our CST meetings, our child study team meetings, We were always talking about the transition program basically from the beginning of high school, that we were confident that this is something, resource we were going to utilize. At the time, we didn't realize how beneficial it was going to be for us. But as you can imagine, the reason why we're sitting here is because it was extremely beneficial to us. The main reason, the two main things that we benefited from the transition program, number one, the career skills. Uh, Leslie and her team helped our son with three different jobs. First, he worked in the museum cafe, which was a great experience, where you're doing everything from working the cashier to serving customers to preparing coffee and pastries. And then he worked at Montclair Diner, which was a great experience. Working in a diner, any busboy or waiter will tell you that that's really hard work. And then he ended up finally with an on-campus job in the on-campus food services in Montclair State. And then Leslie and her team even helped him get his food certification so that he is certified to actually serve food, because you need to have a certain level of certification to be able to handle and serve food to customers. And so he even got that through the transition program. But clearly, the most beneficial thing that we got from the transition program was the ability to tap into the early college program in Montclair State. As Leslie mentioned, the early college program is something you have to apply for. It's different from the IAC. We don't know a lot about the IAC, but we know that it's basically involved with auditing classes. It would be, I would think, for the student who was a little bit more anxious or apprehensive. And so it's obviously a more low pressure situation, since they're simply auditing a class and they're not under any pressure to perform in that class. But our son was very determined that his end goal was clearly a college degree, and so we wanted to work towards that end. And as we told him, which is very much the truth, that we were going to use the transition program as a way to ease into college. And that is very much what happened. It's exactly what happened. So while he was in the transition program for 2 years, and in those 2 years, each semester he took two classes at Montclair State. So
For credit.
for credit, for credit. So that by the end of the 2 years, he had literally finished his entire freshman year. One thing that we noticed with the early college program is that we never had a situation where there was a class he was not allowed to take. We knew that he was interested in math, and so over those 2 years, for the fall, spring, he basically did pre-calculus and then calculus A and then calculus B and then linear algebra. So by the time he finished in the transition program, he was basically taking advanced math.
And the other thing that I will say is Leslie had mentioned it, they helped coordinate the on-campus resources through the DRC.
Yes.
So Gray is also able to tap into a lot of those supports.
DRC,
Yes.
can you?
Yes, I'm now that
Disability Resource Center.
Disability Resource Center, which is at Montclair State, that is their facility to basically handle any student that has additional needs. And so that was another advantage of this, is that we had basically extra time and resources to familiarize ourselves and our student with the Disability Resource Center at Montclair State. So now in the period of the transition program, he registered with the DRC. You have to interview with them. This is after he was accepted into the early college program. You interview with them, and then they decide on what accommodations they're going to give you in class. And any student at Montclair State can go through the DRC. That's the whole point. The DRC exists to provide accommodations for all the students, any student in need. And the two accommodations that our son qualified for was extra time on tests, and then he can take the test instead of in the classroom. He can take it at the DRC center on campus, so it's a quieter environment so that they can concentrate more. And then he gets time and a half instead of just the regular time. So if it's an hour-long test, he gets an hour and a half. Another accommodation that he was approved for was note taking, basically. So through a note taking app, It basically takes the notes so that he can concentrate on class and then later access the app so that he can look and see the notes. Personally, I think this is an accommodation that every student should have
I
automatically.
agree. And they
but-
have it in colleges, just FYI.
Yes.
If you need services in college elsewhere, they will allow you
Yeah.
to, even without having
The
a.
accommodation.
Yes.
Yeah.
The early college program in Montclair State is fantastic. You can go on their website and look into it. If you want, if you have any inclination that this might be something for your child, I highly suggest you go onto their website immediately and look into it. On a note, our son actually doesn't test well, and Montclair State, as of now, I believe, still does not require SATs to be submitted. So we did not submit that as part of his application. His GPA was very strong, so that was a factor, and we definitely did do the essay as well, which I would highly recommend that your child, if they're applying for the early college program, do the essay. As you probably know, there are many third-party sources around Montclair that will help with the essay. They help all students with all their college essays.
And then just if anybody has any questions, but just kind of for a top line, the transition program has been incredible for us. Montclair State University, the fact that we have this in our backyard is incredible. It is the second largest university in New Jersey. They have unbelievable programs. To Eric's point, if you're in the early college, you can really, I mean, Gray was initially interested in computer science. He took some math classes and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go for applied math. So it exposed him to other classes and it's helped guide him in his career. And then I'm just going to give you a parent's tip. So for the first couple of years, we only paid for those credits. So we got his freshman year of college. It was almost like a bargain, to be very, very honest. And now Gray is living on campus. He is in a single, so we got accommodations for him that he could be in a single room, but he's in like a suite with another student. They share a bathroom. But it's definitely been the type of thing where the transition program absolutely prepared Gray for this next aspect. And it has, in Gray's program, again, I think there were like 18 kids. Every single kid had an individualized program, whether it was about work, whether it was about college, whether it was about transportation, and the benefits of it. And Leslie and Joe are incredible. And even though there is criteria, don't ever forget, you're the parent, you can advocate, and there are people that will support you.
Yes.
And it's the teachers and it's Leslie's team are unbelievable.
Yes. Is there, is,
Question.
Oh,
yes, this
question.
question?
Oh, hi. I was just wondering if the district held your son's diploma until he was 21.
I'm so glad you asked that. Basically, and it also leads me to another thing that I wanted to say. The answer is yes. We basically just didn't pick up his high school diploma until he was done with the transition program. So they just had it in a file in the office of the high school.
Very important.
But also very important, because he had a twin brother, he participated in the graduation ceremony at the end of his senior year.
Completely.
So with his brother, he walked. Obviously, they were right next to each other, but they did the entire graduation ceremony. So that's very important to know. Just because you're not accepting the high school diploma, so that way technically they're still a high school student. There's, he had all the hours that qualified him to graduate, and he went through the graduation ceremony, and then we just left the diploma in the office in the filing cabinet.
And he
basically.
also participated in project graduation
And the prom.
and the prom.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yes.
Full participation.
You can participate in any program that the students, even clubs.
Yep.
at
Oh,
the
absolutely.
As well as sporting events, being in the marching band, anything that the high school is doing. Even if your kid is out of district, they are able to participate in the Montclair
Yep.
activities for the students. But do not accept once you accept that diploma, you are not eligible for the transition program. So it's and nobody will tell you this. So please remember, do not accept the diploma. if
If-
you want your kid to participate in the transition program.
Yeah, the act of actually physically accepting the diploma means that you are done with Montclair State or Montclair School District,
Yes,
the Montclair
very
School District.
important. And people have lost out on these services because they didn't know. So we try to remind everybody not to take them. Take the diploma if you want to participate.
Another thing I'd also say is and we weren't, our high school advisor didn't really clue us into this, so that we kind of missed this boat. Not that it was necessarily that detrimental, but all junior and senior high school students are applicable to or are able to apply to the early college program. So theoretically, if you're yeah, I think they call it the MAID program in high school, but it's still the early college program. And if your child is very academically inclined, they could potentially even be taking early college programs before during their junior and senior year of high school.
Which a lot of people do.
Which, yeah, many, I mean, that the whole reason for the existence of the early college program is for academically minded students of all types to have an opportunity to take college classes. And Montclair State is obviously there for that reason, or providing this service for that reason.
Mhm.
And-
Any other questions for people online?
How long ago did you participate in the program?
Great question. We just, as of this past spring, we finished with the transition program. Our son had not turned 21 yet, so we theoretically could have done it for a third year. However, our son was adamant that he wanted to go to Montclair State full time. So at that point, to apply as a full-time student, that means he's a high school graduate. And so we ended our relation last spring with the transition program, and he applied to Montclair State to be a full-time student, to enter in technically as a freshman, even though by hours he was already a sophomore. And the one thing I would also say is, because we had already gone through the application process for the early college program, applying to be an incoming freshman was, in a sense, a piece of cake. And all the accommodations that he had in the DRC at Montclair State as during the early college program carried over into his full-time student status. So because he's already in their system, he was already registered. So that was wonderful.
If you turn 21, and you're in the transition program in March, then you stay through June, or you're done?
If you have not turned 21 in September, the fall of that year,
Yeah.
then you still qualify.
The
To
whole
my
summer.
knowledge, you would talk to your CST. Yes.
So our son turned 21 in August. The district counts July 1st as the beginning of ESY, which is the beginning of school. So because his birthday was in August when he turned 21, and the school year started in July 1st, he is getting the entire year
Yep.
until June. So he's been 21 since August, but he's getting to do the transition program until
Yes.
June.
Okay.
And when he first started the transition program in his first year, the first semester fall, when he was taking classes, Leslie and her team were also excellent in getting him comfortable with taking the public busing system from Bloomfield and Park Avenue all the way to Montclair State. So he was riding the buses on his own, taking the bus. So there were just so many ways that we benefited from this program.
Great. Thank you. I just wanted to give a little info about, no, turn that, no.
Thank you.
Oh.
Oh, yes, another
What was the
question.
Priya,
Priya?
did you want to ask a question?
She's on mute.
You're on mute. All right, well, in the meantime, I just want to touch base about the fact that, we're talking a lot about college-related transition programs. So my son did not do a college-related program. He was out of district for high school, but had done Montclair until 8th grade. He was then out of district in high school And we thought we had lost our chance for him to go to a specialized program for his, specifically related to his syndrome. And we found out that we could apply for just the transition program because we weren't able to get into this program during the high school years, but we were able to get in during the transition program. So he has a very, specific need for his syndrome, and he has done his transition program in Massachusetts at a school that is specifically for his syndrome. So it is a program that focuses, it does have academics, but it's not heavily focused on academics. It's really for social skills and life skills and vocational work, because not everybody's cut out for college. And that's okay. There are lots of other ways that you can take advantage of a transition program. So it does not have to be local. So it's really important. I wanted to just make sure that everybody knew that you can go to another program depending, again, on your child's individual needs. So he, as I mentioned, was able to take advantage of this for the last 2 years, and he's got 6 more months. He's going until June. And then we're going to look into, other programs for him for housing. But for those people who are not, the plan is not to go to college, there are other programs out there. So just don't write off a transition program. Do not accept that diploma. If you want to, just hold off on that diploma, because you may not know where your child's going to go eventually, but you want to have the option if you do want to take advantage of the transition program. Does anybody have any questions about that aspect of our experience not being at school? Okay. Did anyone else who's on here want to talk a little bit about their child's experience with the transition program? Okay, we have Wendy here.
Hi, I missed most of this, so I don't want to spend time reiterating what might already be said, but I would just say that for my daughter, who is now 21, she has Down syndrome. She went through this program. She missed getting an extra year by 1 day. Her birthday was June 29th, 2 days, I guess.
That's
But
all.
I would say this, I was very nervous about that. But the transition program did such a great job fostering a sense of independence in her and giving her the skills to kind of continue along that path even without them. So whether it be walking or commuting around town or interesting classes at MSU or the internship she's taking, like that foundation really is so strong. And I can accredit that to this program and Leslie Wallace and her team.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else who's on and wants to share their experience? Okay.
So, I mean, we're here, we're around, if anybody has any questions in the interim, but I would just say it's been incredibly beneficial. It is very diverse. There are so many options. So if you get nothing else, the takeaway is just be open to the transition program. Know you can start looking into it at the age of 14. And Leslie is just an incredible resource. And it is, again, Montclair State University is right here in our backyard. So it's just, we are very fortunate, and, just if you have any other questions, let us know.
And our transition program was written up in the New York Times. It was on the cover of the New York Times years ago.
Right.
So if you Google Kate Stanton Paul.
Yep.
And Justin Khanna, who was one of the students who was in the transition program, who is now teaching art, you can find that article in the New York Times. It's pretty impressive.
Yes,
Highlighting our specific program here.
absolutely. So lucky us.
Lucky us.
1 in 6 support and a transition program. Go team.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we will send out Leslie Wallace's information. She sent us 3 pages that I did post to our Friday group. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
everyone for tuning in and for attending. And we will stop our recording. Thank you.
Okay.